Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this seminar today. My name, as most of you know, is In'Easa Mabu Ishtar. I am a channel for the Ascended Masters, and I work with a council of 33, and I've worked with them for the last 21 years, creating many schools of wisdom and spiritual understanding. So all that I'm going to share with you today is coming from the Masters. It's what we have learned from them over these years of experience, of teaching through all the channels, thousands of channels that we have received from them. And today we're going to talk about karma. And karma is such a very important thing on this planet at this time. At this time on planet Earth, we are stepping into a new age, a new time. Many call it the new Earth, which is led by the consciousness of the zodiac sign Aquarius. And this is a time that will continue for at least 2,500 years. And this is a time of seeding, of anchoring new wisdom, of anchoring new ideas, of anchoring new ways of doing things. And it's a very exciting time for humanity if we choose to open our hearts and minds to move into something new and to let go of the old. And this is why dissolving karma, working with your karma is so important. Because to move into something new means we need to let go of the old. And the old, of course, is the karma that we hold. Every single soul on this planet holds karma. Every single soul. You, me, everyone. But what is karma? Because it is talked about many times, and there is a lot of confusion and a lot of mythology around what karma is. The masters have told me, since I began working with them, that unless humanity creates resolution of their karma and brings it back to the divine truth, then we will simply continue in this old program that we are sitting in, and we will struggle to move forward into the new earth. Because once again, to move forward, we need to let go of the old. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about karma. What is karma? Karma is consciousness. It is consciousness that each one of us creates. What is consciousness? Consciousness is energy that holds an intention. It holds an intention. It is energy with intention. And this is what karma is. The question, of course, is what is the intention of that consciousness that we have created? Does it hold the divine truth of our being? Or does it hold the illusion of our ego? So karma is consciousness or energy that each one of us creates. It is not something that is given to you in judgment. It is not something that is given to you for punishment. Simply because we hold karma does not mean we will be punished. And karma is not points that we gather in the karmic bank that we can draw on when we need it. That is not karma. Karma is simply the consciousness that we hold. Now, karma can be resolved to light and to our truth, which means it's consciousness that is aligned to our divine truth, or it is consciousness that is aligned to our shadow energy, to our illusion. We might think it's truth, but it's not the truth of the soul. It's not the truth of divine spirit. What is divine truth? The masters say there is only one divine truth, and that is that each and every soul on this planet originates from source and returns to source. Each one of us has been given a certain amount of light, of conscious energy to create and manifest in the physical realm. And we have been given free will, which means choice about what we manifest with that light into the physical world. Do we want to manifest our illusion, or do we want to manifest our divine truth? What consciousness are we manifesting? Now, when we hold consciousness or karma that is aligned to divine truth of who we are, then we hold pure light within our being. When we hold this consciousness, we are connected, aligned to divine spirit. But when we hold consciousness of illusion that emanates from our ego, then it's very difficult for us to be aligned to our divine spirit and to open that connection, because we have a lot of shadow energy sitting in our auric field. And when we have a lot of shadow energy sitting in our auric field, then it's very difficult for our divine spirit to be present in our lives, because there's no room for the light of divine spirit to be present. Now, the consciousness of karma that is not aligned to divine truth is very attached to old belief systems, old programs that we have created, old vows, old contracts that we've created and agreed to. Often this consciousness is filled with reaction that we've created from a very traumatic experience in this lifetime or in our numerous other lifetimes. And we carry that karma with us, lifetime after lifetime, unless we bring it back to divine truth. So what this is saying is that the pure light that we have been given by Source to work with, to manifest our being in the physical realm on earth, is a gift. And it's very powerful. But when we use that light, that consciousness of our being, to create illusion, to create victim mentality, to create reaction, which includes anger and fear, jealousy, grief, a need for revenge, resistance to the light, and so it goes. All of those things and more. When we choose through our free will to create that consciousness within us, we are creating that within our own light. And so every time we reincarnate, we're carrying it because it is part of our field, of our energetic field. And it's our creation. We chose it. Now, understanding that often we choose it because of traumatic events. And so we're reacting to something terrible that's happened. And so we create consciousness that's in reaction to something terrible that's happened. You cannot exist on this planet in numerous lifetimes without experiencing some form of trauma. Every single generation that has existed on this planet has experienced war, has experienced famine or fire or terrible things that have happened. And because of those experiences, we create beliefs and reactions that make us forget the truth of who we are, that make us forget our divine spirit, that makes us forget that we have the power to manifest divine truth and to bring more harmony into our life. Simply because we've created unbalanced consciousness that has forgotten its divine truth doesn't mean we have to continue to play it out lifetime after lifetime. And of course, this is what's occurring on this planet. We are continuing again and again, generation after generation, to replay our old karma, to replay our fears, to replay our consciousness of anger or revenge or jealousy or judgment, to replay the vows we made. Because if you lived in a religious order or a temple system, for example, in Egypt, in South America, or you're in a Catholic religious order, you made many vows. You vowed, perhaps, to live in poverty. Perhaps you vowed to only honor one God or several gods. You made vows. And unless you've consciously broken those vows, that consciousness, that energy that you created still sits within you and still affects you. If you made agreements and contracts with other people in any lifetime that bound you in some agreement, one of the good ones is, I will love you until the end of time. That's a very powerful agreement to make with anybody. then those agreements, unless you have broken them, remain with you and still affect you. Now, I have worked for many, many years doing healings with people where we have taken them back to their past lives, and we have discovered what vows or programs or agreements they have made with themselves and with other people that affect them. And I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people. And we have discovered that these vows and agreements are very strong and very powerful and affect everyone. So unless you do something about them, unless you resolve this energy that you're holding, then they will continue to affect you. How do they affect you? They affect you in the choices you make in life. They affect whether or not you choose a path that is positive and in harmony, or a path that is chaotic and in conflict, or a path that is full of drama and disharmony. They will affect your relationships with others, your close relationships, and even your work relationships. They will affect your relationship with humanity. You know, there were about, I think, 6 million or more people burnt at the stake during the Inquisition times in Europe. 6 million. A lot of them women, but also children and men. And it was a horrific death. Horrific. You can imagine being burnt alive at the stake. So you can imagine what was going through your mind at this time when this was occurring for you. And you can imagine perhaps what the consciousness was you were creating for yourself, what beliefs. And many times people were burned at the stake because, one example is because their husband wanted to get rid of them. So they put them forward to be a witch. And so they went through the Inquisition and then they got burnt at the stake. They weren't a witch. And even if they were betrayed by the person that loved them or that they loved. Some of them included their children in that. Sometimes it was a villager or several villagers because they wanted somebody's house. And so they put them forward so they could be burnt at the stake. Another thing that happened during that time was that it was the time of war and of the Crusades. And a lot of men did not come back from the Crusades or from the wars. And so the women began to hold a lot of power because they suddenly were holding power over the land, and the church wanted the land. So many women were accused of witchcraft so that the church could take over their land. Now, these are all stories, but you can imagine what you're creating in your consciousness when this is occurring, all sorts of beliefs and all sorts of programs. And because it's being created at such a traumatic time, it's very powerful. Now, you know, in war over the last, 3,000 years has been very gory, very nasty, very awful. And warriors centuries ago, had terrible injuries, horrific injuries. Some were hit with axes or decapitated. Some killed children, some raped women and killed women. And for both the perpetrator and the victim, it was extremely traumatic. So you can imagine what sort of consciousness was being created out of that energy. So karma is this consciousness that tells us we are something other than our divine truth. And it urges us and fills our auric field so that it affects so many of our choices. You know, Queen Mary in England was burning 200 people a week in the square of London because they were Protestant and not Catholic. 200 were being burnt at the stake. So, you know, this goes on, and I'm sure in Russia you've got just as many stories of people suffering and trauma that's been created. And out of all of this comes so much karma. And also, too, the tribal wars, you know, in Europe that are still being played out today. So much energy is being put into that because we're replaying karma. So all of that energy affects us. And that's our karma. And we are being asked, if we want to move forward as a collective, we are being asked to really to start bringing that consciousness back to divine truth, to bring it back to the truth of who it is and who you are, so that you're no longer carrying this old energy like a very heavy bag on your shoulders. It's a very heavy bag for humanity. Now, the masters told me a long time ago that the group of people, or the group of souls that came to this planet, were all involved in the Orion Wars billions of years ago. There was a big war in this galaxy, and many beings were caught up in that war. And some of you may know the Ashtar Command, it was involved in it, and the Galactic Federation. And so when the war ended and peace came to the galaxy, the karma that had been created was not resolved. Even though the war ended, the karma did not get resolved. The consciousness that created the war in the first place did not get resolved. It wasn't brought back to divine truth. So the masters told me that what happened is that this planet was seeded by groups of people from each of the species or nationalities, if you will, from all the planets and star systems that were involved in that war. And they were all put on this planet to begin to resolve through free will that old karma. So from Sirius, from the Pleiades, from Orion, from Arcturus, from Venus, from Lyra, from Maldek, from many other places, they gathered different souls and they incarnated here on the earth. Now, the masters say that what we've been doing ever since that time is still replaying those wars, still replaying that old karma, that old consciousness of separation. And yet the Aquarius energy that we're just about to walk into now is all about oneness, unification. And the first place we need to unify, of course, is ourselves. Because while you sit there and you point the finger at everybody else and say everyone else needs to unify, I'm okay, then nothing will change. Every single one of us needs to create unification within ourselves. We need to bring all the parts of ourselves that are living in separation from all time, space, and dimension, from all time, all space, all dimensions, and bring them back to divine truth. Bring them back to the consciousness, the vibration of consciousness that is divine truth. Not your truth, not the ego's truth, not someone else's truth, but divine truth. Because when you come to accept and believe that you are a divine spirit that comes from the heart of source, and you will return to the heart of source, when you really believe that, then so much will begin to change in your life. And all resistance to even what I'm saying, all resistance to working on your karma, all resistance to moving ahead and co-creating with others will drop away. And you will have no issue with beginning to resolve your karma. Now, many people believe that we can just cut it off and send it somewhere. I'm not quite sure where you want to send it, but lots of healers were trained to do this a long time ago. Nothing wrong with it. And it was an old way of doing things. But it's no longer the correct way. Why? Because any consciousness that we hold in ourselves holds our spiritual DNA. We have physical DNA, we have spiritual DNA. So if a healer's going to come along and start cutting off your spiritual DNA and sending it out into the ether, it will come back to you eventually. Maybe not this lifetime, most probably this lifetime, but if not, it will definitely come back next lifetime. Because it's your energy, it's your spiritual DNA. And it can only reside in your being. It can't exist anywhere else. So it will just come back. Because we're here to bring all the energy within ourselves that is in separation, that has forgotten its divine truth. We're here to learn how to bring it back to oneness, to truth. To bring it back to the oneness of spirit. And when we choose to start doing that on this planet, then war will cease, because the karma that creates war will no longer be there. Famine will cease, because the karma that creates famine will no longer be there. Jealousy will cease, because there'll be no need for it. All the energy, greed, will no longer cease. Greed comes from lack. Those who want something, while they're greedy, they want this, they want that, it's because they feel they miss something, they lack something, and they're trying to fill that void. They can never fill it by having money, by having goods, by having drugs, by sex, by all the things that they try and fill it with. They can't fill it because it can never be filled until they bring themselves back to divine spirit, until they bring their energy back to divine spirit. So resolving our karma is so important for each and every one of us if we are going to move into a new way of being on this earth, a new earth. excuse me. So I just want to show you something that the Masters gave me. There's a bit of a karmic cycle. I think I've got share screen. Yeah, preview, I think. Yeah. Can you see that, Alexis? Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, I've got this in English because I can't find it in Russian. So I'll need you to translate it for me. This is basically the karmic cycle. And it talks about where we sit when we're holding karma. And we all sit on some of these places at times. You know, there's no one that hasn't experienced something here. And I'm going to walk through, and Alexis is going to translate. So if we start at the top, whenever karma is created, that means consciousness that is unable to tell us divine truth. When it's telling us illusion, then we become the victim. So, and that happens so often when there's trauma. And when this karma is created, it can be so hard, so heavy, that it weighs us down and we get stuck in that energy. And we can't move and we don't want to change because we don't know what else to do. We're frightened. We often see ourselves as poor me. We think, oh, you know, the world's against me. Everybody's against me. No one understands me. I'm misunderstood. I'm not loved. Nobody loves me. Nobody supports me. Nobody does anything for me. So it's usually we're looking outwards at all the people and saying, nobody's helping me. No one's doing anything for me. I'm not responsible for what I'm creating. And we blame others. And this becomes the child self. We're very much the child when we do this, because this is the child. It's not the adult self. And when we're in the child self, we're talking to the child all the time. The child's talking to the child. And in our relationships, it's very difficult to have any intimacy, any closeness when we're in our child self, because we're not being the adult. And then we might move around this karmic cycle. We always start with the victim, but then we might move around and we might become the rescuer. Now, the rescuer wants to save everybody. They want to fix everything. They want to make things the way they want them. And often the rescuer will benefit from assisting the victim. So when we're in rescue mode, we see the victim and we want to help them because it makes us feel good about ourselves. The rescuer always wants to keep the peace, which means they want to control life. And they're always in, let's fix it, let's make it better. Many healers are rescuers because they're trying to fix everything. And it's a very exhausting place to be. A good healer will not be a rescuer. But let go of your need to control things, to fix things. So what happens when we're the victim? We often become the rescuer at times, or we look for a rescuer to save us. So we do one of two things. We become the rescuer and try and save others, or we look for someone to save us. Then we might become the warrior. The warrior steps in and fights the battle of the victim. So when we're in the warrior mode, we want to fight everyone's battles, including our own. Once again, we want to be in control. fighting everyone's battles helps us to feel empowered in our life. We see that something's right and we perceive what's wrong. So we always have a right and a wrong. I'm right, they're wrong. So there'll always be right and wrong. Often the warrior will be manipulated by the victim to fight their battles for them, or the victim becomes the warrior because it makes them feel empowered. And then the last consciousness is the persecuted, those that persecute others and those that feel persecuted. So it means the one who is blamed. So often you might feel you are blamed for everything, or often you are blaming others for everything. You may feel unloved, or you may be unable to love others. You may feel unsupported, or you may not be able to support others. You may often feel you're attacked by others, but you also might be attacking others. The persecutor or the persecutor is always on the defensive. They're always defending their position. And they often feel alone and isolated. So this is the karmic wheel, and it's the consciousness of often what we hold in our being. And we go round and round and round in circles, always coming back to the victim. So wherever you see this energy, it's not to judge it, but it's just to understand that whenever anyone is holding this energy, they're holding unresolved karma. And if you're holding any of this energy, you're holding unresolved karma. And the first thing we often do when we're in this cycle is that we begin to judge ourselves. We don't want to be holding this energy. So we judge ourselves for holding it. And I'm going to say to you, if you're judging yourself, please stop. There is no judgment in this. It is simply consciousness that you've created for a reason in this life or many others. There's nothing to judge, because while you're judging it, you'll never be able to change it. Simply honor that a part of you has had some sort of traumatic experience and it needs help. So choose instead to help this part of you. We call the energy of unresolved karma, that means consciousness that has forgotten its divine truth, we call that shadow energy. And if you can just imagine your whole auric field is a big circle, and then in that circle, there are many clouds of shadows filling that circle. And so while they're there, they're taking up the space for the light to come in. And what we want is for those clouds of shadow to become the light. We don't want to send them anywhere. We don't want to judge them. We don't want to cause them more pain. We don't want to separate them. We want to bring them back to their divine truth. We want to bring them back to spirit. Now, when the masters asked me to channel the universal rays, this healing therapy, this was their purpose, to help humanity resolve its karma so we could move forward in oneness, so we could remember who we are, so we could come back to the light of our being and no longer sit in the shadow, thinking we're something we're not, making bad choices in our life because of old karma. And so the whole purpose of a universal race healing is to resolve the karma that humanity holds and assist every person to remember the divine spirit of light and love that they are, to help each and every soul come out of the karmic cycle and step into the new way of living in the new earth. And that means lifting their vibration, because while you're holding shadow energy, your vibration is always going to be dense, low. But when you begin to bring that energy back to light, back to its truth, then your whole vibration lifts to a new level. And your consciousness, your way of seeing things, your whole life begins to change. Now, this is a process. You may have taken 50 incarnations to create this consciousness, this karma. It's not just one, it's many. So it's a process of change. It's about allowing yourself to walk this process. I see with Universal Rays how powerful it is to assist others to remember their divine truth and to come out of separation and into oneness in their lives. And it's so important. In the times to come, there'll probably be other modalities that will come through that will do this, because it is so important. But this is the one of the most powerful that we have available to us today. And when we shift consciousness, when we move out of old karma, then we heal and we move forward and we grow and we evolve. And that is the purpose of our journey. So I hope all of you begin to open, to acknowledge whatever karma you're holding, light or shadow. And where there is shadow, choose to take steps to bring it back to divine truth, because that's the purpose of why you're here. Enlighten yourself, expand yourself, and uplift your vibration by bringing all of you back to oneness. So I thank you all for today. I'm happy to take questions if Alexi is able to translate.
How many sessions of healing do I need to heal the karma?
Here's someone who really wants to get rid of all their karma. That will depend on the karma you hold and how willing you are to let go. Because it's up to you. One healing equals 3 sessions. with this work because it's very deep work and it's not done by anybody else. The healer helps you, but you are doing the work with the healer and with the masters. So, don't be in too much of a rush, but I'm going to say this, that we see after 2 or 3, sometimes 4 healings, which is anywhere between 8 to 12 sessions, we see a big shift in people. And often we see it after the first 1 or 2 sessions. So it will be very different for everyone. But don't be in such a rush and focus on getting rid of it. Focus on understanding yourself and the karma you're holding, because it will teach you about yourself.
Окей. Так, как понять, разграничить, кто я, жертва или воин? И как понять свое предназначение, учитывая карму? How can I understand, am I a victim or am I a warrior? And how can I understand my destiny with my karma?
Okay, well, let's look at the karmic cycle again. I think I just put it off. Hold on. Here we go. I'll just put it up again. Okay. So usually you always go into victim mode first. You'll hold victim energy. So, look at yourself. And then you'll go into warrior mode. So you'll always start with victim. So often you'll be feeling like it's not your fault, it's everyone else's fault, struggling to take responsibility, often holding that childlike vision of everything and not feeling good about moving or changing what's going on, and feeling like the whole world is against you. And then your anger will come up and you'll become the warrior. So you'll start to fight the battle and you'll see that you're right and others are wrong, or maybe someone else is right and someone else is wrong, and you've got to fight the battle for the right. So, have a look where you're doing that. Just watch yourself. That's how you know. It's getting to know who you are. And the destiny of your karma. Well, the destiny of your karma is to become one with your soul, become one with your spirit. That's the destiny of your karma. The destiny of your karma is to bring it back to divine truth so that you are fully connected to your light. And that light is flowing through you without resistance, without limitation, without blocks. That you are walking with your divine spirit, not with your ego, but with your divine spirit. And that's the destiny of your karma.
Can I understand my destiny having karma?
Can you understand your destiny having karma? I don't quite understand that question.
In other words, does my karma block my vision and my destiny?
Well, if it's unresolved, if it's shadow, yes, definitely. Yeah.
Как можно работать с кармой ежедневно? Получается, при конфликтной ситуации нужно представить, визуализировать свет. How on everyday basis can I work with my karma? Should I visualize light and imagine everything comes back to light, or what?
what we need to understand is to work with our karma is to learn how to acknowledge ourselves and who we are, is to get to know yourself, to have a look at what is coming up for you. What energy do you feel? Do you get angry often? Are you often in reaction? Do you often get judgmental? Are you frightened all the time? Do you feel that you're unloved and unsupported? All of these things and more you need to look at for yourself, and not to judge them, but to really accept and acknowledge what energy you're holding in yourself. You are an energetic being, and whatever's coming up for you, it's all part of your energy. So have a look at what you're holding. What energy are you holding? And then ask yourself what you're doing with it. You need to stop and recognize what's coming up for you. Sometimes we get too caught up in love and light, and we think that we just have to just focus on love and light and it'll all go away. But it won't, because it's your energy, your consciousness. And just sitting in love and light is not going to be the answer, because if you're holding karma, you're never truly sitting in love and light. You're sitting in the illusion of love and light. And you're controlling something in your life. When divine spirit really comes into your being, and when you make space for it by letting go of the old energy and bringing that back to light, you can send light, you can send love to that part of you. Yes, definitely. So when you realize that there's old energy that you're holding, and we all hold it, and you can, in your meditation, identify what it is. For example, you get really angry with somebody. This person does something that always makes you angry. Then you know that's something karmic. It's not about them, it's about you. So there's something within you that gets triggered by something that they're doing. And it's not their fault. They're just telling you, you need to look at this. So you need to go and sit with whatever that is in your meditation. Nothing to do with the other person. Go and sit with that angry energy or fearful energy or whatever energy is coming up, and identify it within yourself. Where is it sitting in yourself? Is it in your physical body? Is it in your emotion? Is it in your thoughts? Is it in your soul body? Where is it actually sitting? And then in your meditation, then call to your divine spirit, not your ego, but call to a divine spirit of your being and ask for it to send light and healing energy to whatever it is. But if you've got contracts and vows that you haven't let go of, you're going to need to let go of them. In Universal Rays, we work with the divine decree. We speak out to the universe what we're willing to let go of. And we ask for that consciousness to be resolved. That means brought to light. And that's also important, because we have to let go of those old cords of attachment. I hope that helps.
Yes. Так, Татьяна, нужно ли в сессии с помощью конкретного запроса направлять работу лучей, или запрос может звучать просто как разрешение кармы? Татьяна, если вы учились, я думаю, там на обучении всегда был ответ. Там же про это говорят многократно. Так, есть ли рекомендации или условия для обучения? Какая ответственность и последствия могут быть в этой или в следующих жизнях? И от каких вознесенных учителей идет учение о карме? Так, Дмитрий. So these are two questions. Basically, one is answered during the healing training. So just specifically about race. And second is just general from person who never met you, I think. So
Okay.
he asked, who are these ascended masters you are speaking about?
He wants to know the masters that I'm speaking about.
So maybe we can ignore this question because it's like was answered in lectures before.
Okay, that's all right.
Дмитрий, рекомендую вам посмотреть просто лекции прошлые и позапрошлые, там на все эти вопросы было отвечено. Напишите нам, мы вам скинем ссылку, если что. Так. Ну
And
что, похоже, вопросов больше нет?
he can go on my website and look at all the masters. There's a language translator there. You can go on and read about all the masters that I work with. They're all on my website.
Да, Дмитрий, можете зайти на сайт, в гугле вбить Иштар вознесенные мастера на английском, и вам выдаст там прочесть тоже. После целения можно откатиться назад, как окружение, семья влияет на процесс целения. Okay, the question is, if I was healed from my karma, can I come back to it again? In other ways, like downgrade again. And how
if you
my
heal from your
environment...
karma, can you come back to the earth? Is that what they mean?
No, if I heal my karma, can karma come back?
If they choose to create it, yes. Karma doesn't come back. Karma is created by you. So it's up to you.
Как окружение, семья влияют на процесс исцеления. How my family influences my healing.
Your family influences your healing as much as you
How?
allow it to influence your healing. So it's a choice.
Так. I think answers are received.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alexis, for organizing this. Thank you, Elena. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, beautiful. Thank you, Alexis. I really appreciate it. And I don't know the other man there on your right, the one that helps us all. What's his name?
Ruslan.
I can't pronounce that, but thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you all so much. Lots of love.